But beyond my body and my mind, I find what? The intelligence which has put it together. And I also find the awareness which is truth of Ishvara. This awareness that I find in my buddhi is not just some simple awareness, it is the truth of Ishvara.
So the intelligence what we find in ourselves, which we compare to the Ishvara, it's all Ishvara's manifestation. But my point is, when we talk of intelligence that we find in ourselves, is that intelligence of the Ishvara, or is the intelligence which is created in our mind?
No. See, the Ishvara's design is such that every human mind is arranged in a way that it has a certain range. So that means that a human being is born with a certain range of intelligence. That means there is an intelligence which gives you the possibility of your intelligence, your personal intelligence.
So just two separate, basically.
Yeah. So that's why somebody can come as an artist, somebody can come as a painter, somebody can come as a physicist, somebody can come with an inclination for biology. So this is how it happens, right? So we all exhibit different kinds of intelligence, as I just explained. But that possibility which is given, my intelligence possibility comes from what? Ishvara. And each one, and the way it works is, human intelligence works within a given range. But even though it works within a given range, there is no two human beings who have exactly the same intelligence. It is not possible. Infinite combinations, working within the same range. Then you go to a monkey brain, it's programmed differently. Then you go to a fish brain, it's programmed differently. Then you go to a mouse brain, it's programmed differently. So that means they all operate within their range. And within that range, there is a uniqueness in each one of them. So that means that there is a fundamental intelligence which brings into manifestation different intelligences.
So I can say actually there are two types of intelligence in me. One is Ishvara's intelligence, which makes the whole body work. Otherwise, I would use my own intelligence and repair my own body.
Yeah. So that means that here in this living forms, you see two types of intelligence. One is what the intelligence which is within the range of your mind intelligence. Then there is a more fundamental intelligence which is what? Ishvara. And then you see truth of Ishvara, which is what? Awareness. You got it?
Yes, clear.
If the truth of Ishvara or intelligence is awareness, so intelligence and Ishvara is mithya?
Okay, that's a good question.
Or is
yeah,
mithya and satya with reference to...
Yes. Yeah. That's a good question, yes. Yeah. So, we have, when we use the word mithya, it almost seems to us as though it is like of less importance. But it's not really like that. It is like an ontological reality. So one has a dependent reality, the other one is independently existing. So if you use that definition, then yes, what you are saying is right. So that means the intelligence cannot exist without awareness, but awareness can exist without intelligence. And this is why, Ishvara, we say, one is the upadhi of Ishvara, which is what we call parinami upadana karana. Means it is the intelligence which is constantly undergoing change. To collapse the universe according to what the actions that we have chosen to undertake. The other one is non-changing reality, completely non-changing. Awareness doesn't undergo any change. So we make a distinction and we say the Swarupa of Ishvara is Vivarta Upadana Karana. Swarupa is the reality of Ishvara is completely non-changing. Whereas Ishvara as Upadhi, is intelligence is constantly changing. And the relationship is that of Satyamitya. Yes.
And with reference to the Jiva, Ishvara is then Satya.
Wonderful. Excellent. Or wonderful. Yes, exactly. Wonderful. See, there is a level here. Wonderful, Gabby. See, here, with reference to the table, wood is Satya. But with reference to atoms, wood is Mithya. So that means there are, even within so-called Satya and Mithya, until you come to the final, there are levels of Satya Mithya, Satya Mithya, Satya Mithya.
You have really used these different kind of levels also.
Exactly. Excellent. So that means you have to use at different levels. So that means it's very good. So what you are saying is absolutely right. With reference to Jiva, Ishvara is Satyam. But with reference to that itself, that Ishvara status itself is Mithya with reference to Satyam, Dhanam, Ananda. Perfect.
Just one. Mithya
You understood, just one second. You get it. Why? Yeah, one second. Yeah.
So Mithya is always a dependent reality on Satya.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
That's
But
a
there are
combination.
levels, there are gradations, as she says. This is why you can't dismiss Ishvara as just Mithya if you are a Jiva, because with reference to you, there is an entity which is governing from where you come, from where everything else comes, the whole setup comes. So you can't ignore it. You need to align. You need to understand that there is an entity. It is manifesting in all the different forms. It is also manifesting as laws, and you need to align and then what ultimately understand that there is a truth of Ishvara, and at that level there is only one.
And that is the reason why I as Jiva cannot only relate to awareness as my Satya.
Yes.
Satya.
You have to go through
And
Ishvara. You have to go through Ishvara. Excellent. Excellent. And this is what Swamiji was saying. If you want to know the truth, you can't bypass Ishvara. You can't bypass Ishvara because your whole intelligence is from Ishvara. Your capacity to understand is from Ishvara. The opportunity that is given to you to even expose to a body is also from Ishvara. How will you bypass Ishvara? So that is why you have to go through. You need to incorporate Ishvara, and then by making all the adjustment, then you're taken one more step further. Absolutely. Very good. Right.
And in reality,
What is...
No, I think you wanted to speak.
Yeah.
You answered my question.
Okay, I answered it. Yeah, you tell me.
My question is, why do you don't use the name Brahman?
Yeah, so Satchidananda Atma is Brahman. Yeah, it's true.
Because you spoke of the real truth of Ishvara.
Yes.
This is Brahman. No?
Yes, correct. Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's just, see, one thing happens is, Newton, sometimes it happens is, we are used to terms. But when I explain this, and if you are able to figure out that this is Brahman, then that's wonderful. Otherwise, what happens, we get totally committed. If I say it differently, then you're not able to grasp it. So that means you should be able to reconcile. No matter this is how it is, that it shows your capacity to understand. See, all the Upanishads are talking about the same thing, but they're all talking about it in a different way. So now if you say, yeah, but why don't you talk about this exactly the same as Kathopanishad? Well, then it will defeat the purpose. Because it's done very purposely to ensure that you don't get into some superficial understanding. When it is explained differently, you should still be able to see it. Then your understanding is clearer. Otherwise, it is, some terms have become like you're holding on, your clutch. So you're right, but it is exactly the same. Yeah,
I
it
want
is the
to
same.
understand why you...
Yes, no, but it's wonderful, it's true. That when I talk about Sat, Chit, Ananda, then that is Atma. But that Atma is also Brahman, so that is correct. It's correct.
how do we put Maya around
No,
Ishvara?
no, okay, wait, now there is all these
It's
things
coming.
which are coming, yeah, so now, see,
Just one. See, the self is I, that which is Satya, right? And the body is Mithya, dependent reality on I. Is that right in understanding
yes,
that?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So see, as I told you, that body, see, generally when Vedanta is taught, we do first level, we do what we call Drik Drishya Viveka. Drik Drishya Viveka, what does it do? It makes you see that this is something that you objectify, therefore you are not the body. Then the mind and its thoughts you objectify, therefore you are not the mind. Now this is useful, but it creates two realities. One is Drik and the other one is Drishya. It creates two realities. One is awareness and the other one is mind, the other is thought. Then you have to reconcile, because then you can't have vision of oneness. So after having done that, you have to do the exercise which I did. This body that you are not, what it is just nothing but assemblage. It is all, the body is mithya because it depends upon what? So many different parts for its existence. That part itself depends upon some other parts. That other part also depends upon some other part. This is how it is mithya. It finally comes down to atoms and then the intelligence. So that's why the whole body, which we initially told you, was drishya, something which is seen by you, and you are the seer, the awareness. Then later on we said what? Drishya is mithya and drik is satya. Otherwise you will have two categories, drik and drishya. So you understand? First we separate the two, then we show one aspect is mithya, it has a dependent reality. Then we show there is only one independent reality upon which everything else depends. Is it clear? Yeah. Maya and all will come. Because see, if you ask me about things that I haven't taught, then it all becomes, so one has to have patience. But all these questions were based on what I was talking about, so that's very good. So I'm happy that people have understood well what they are saying. But Maya, you have to wait.
I know it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah, everything is coming. Okay. Now, knowing this, so that's why now there are multiple shifts. Multiple shifts in the sense that before the identity that I had was I. Now what I understand is the entire universe is actually nothing but manifestation of Ishvara, and I am one of the manifestation of Ishvara, and the truth of Ishvara is what? Awareness. So that means wherever there is Ishvara, you should be able to see what? Truth of Ishvara, awareness. Exactly. So this is why, see, here also, just as we assume that there is no intelligence, and I showed you that there is what? Intelligence, because the atoms are assembled in an intelligent manner to make it a wood. Now, that means even though it doesn't have the the subtle body which is our intelligence, it still has Ishvara's intelligence. And wherever there is Ishvara's intelligence, there is what? Awareness. This is why awareness becomes not a small entity, it becomes limitless. It is like in the dream, you come back, there is a mountain and there is a person. Both have what? Awareness. And both are pervaded by your intelligence. But with reference to the person is able to talk, the mountain is not able to talk. So that means that is what it is. Now, if the person has totally understood this, then what happens? The person has made shifts. The shifts is all that is here, you can say two shifts. All that is here is Ishvara, or all that is here is Atma. Both. Now, when you say all that is here is Atma, this Atma, what is this Atma that we are talking about? Is it this entity? No. If you continue to think this is Atma and then say all that is here is Atma, you have to be taken to mental hospital. When you say all that is here is Atma, by Atma what do you mean? Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahman. This is what Yuta is saying, right? The awareness which is not in existence in time and space, it is from which what the time, space and everything else has come. And it is something which is not the awareness which is available in the knower, but also in object of knowledge and what the process of knowing. And itself has no limits, it is limitless. Here we are not talking about bliss, we are not talking about anything, we are just talking about what? Limitation are of three types, please understand. Time-wise, space-wise and object-wise. Three limitations. When you say something is limited, so that means when it is limited in time. So that means it was not there at a given point in time. It has come into existence at a given point in time and it will go away at some other point in time. This is what we call limitation by time. The other limitation is place-wise limitation. Place-wise limitation means I occupy only this point in space. I am not occupying that place in space. In fact, the placement of different things is an amazing thing, right? Within the body, all the organs are what? Placed. And they are placed, and the distance between them can be what? Just so small, but that distance is so required, because if you I had a back spasm and it is so painful, you can't imagine, you can't get up. What has happened? I was just thinking to myself, there is one space which is supposed to be occupied by one muscle and the other space which is supposed to be occupied by other muscle, and they have what? They are occupying the same space and it's a disaster. One on top and you can't walk. And the distance between the two is millimeters. And then when they cross, it's a disaster. So that means the space that anything has to occupy is that assigned space. So therefore, and when it is here, it is supposed to be not there. And if it happens to be there, it creates a disaster. So therefore, this is everything, and as a human being, you occupy a space. Now, with Anna is standing there, she occupies that space. If I go there and I want to occupy the same space without Anna moving, what will happen? Is what we call accident. A car accident, everything is like that. Two objects which are supposed to be separate by space find themselves in one space. So therefore, we are all limited by space. Every object is limited by time, is limited by space, and it is also it's one object limited by object. Means if it is this body, it cannot be that body. Limited by object. Three types of limitations. Time-wise limitation, space-wise limitation, and object-wise limitation. Now, so if your I is in this body, mind, sense complex, you are limited in what? Every way. Time-wise you are limited, the body is going to go. Space-wise you are limited, body occupies only this space. Object-wise you are limited because what? That body is not this body. But only when you shift your reality, your Atma to awareness, then is awareness time-wise limited? No. Because from which what? The time comes. The units of time keep changing, but the basis remains the same. It is from which the space comes. Wherever there is space, there is intelligence. And the awareness is in the truth of intelligence. Wherever there is an object, there is intelligence. And there is truth of intelligence, which is awareness. So that means this, both intelligence and awareness, they are both not what? Subject to time, space and objects. But within them there is a relationship, Satya-Mithya relationship.
I mean, that's a little bit, I mean, if I take the definition of limitation, Ishvara is not limited, or is limited.
Yes.
But
Yes.
how can intelligence be limitless if it depends on Satyam or on awareness?
See, the thing is that there are no two entities. If there were two entities, then two entities cannot be limitless. But when it is a Satya-Mithya relationship, there are no two entities, there is only one. There is only one, which is awareness, from the standpoint of its capacity to manifest the universe. We give it another name called Ishvara. If there were two separate entities, then what you are saying is right. If there were two separate entities, then you can't have two separate entities which are what? Both what? Limitless. Why? Because if one entity is limitless and the other one is very large, the other one is very small, that very small will limit what? The very large, if it is independent of the other.
So in your own definition, I wanted to ask this question, that from a awareness,
Yes.
manifestation of this happened, we call it Ishvara, that is the Ishvara.
Excellent.
So when it's unmanifest,
We also call it Ishvara.
do we call
Because,
it?
yeah, we call it
Why
Ishvara
should we-
because the intelligence, see for example, the intelligence still governs it. See, I'll tell you why. Right now, let's say the seed is unmanifest. Now, the seed will become, and so that means in the seed there is a Chandogya Upanishad where the father tells his son, you open the seed and show me what is there. He says it's nothing. He says no, it's not that there is nothing, there is an intelligence which has the program for this seed to become a mango tree. So even though the mango tree is right now unmanifest, the seed carries what? The program. So that means the tree is unmanifest in the seed, but the seed carries the intelligence for that manifestation of tree to happen. So that means the intelligence is what we say, it is always there. It's not that it is not there. The same reality, which is awareness, seen from its capacity to manifest the universe, gets a different name called Ishvara.
But even
Yeah, but
that,
if it is not unmanifest, sorry, it's continuing with the same thing. When it's unmanifest,
Yes.
then do we call that limited intelligence or just call it Ishvara?
No. You see, that means, when there is, right now also, there are so many things which are unmanifest. The presence of intelligence makes that what is unmanifest right now manifest. So that means even in the unmanifest there is this intelligence which is going to bring into manifestation.
And that you call as Ishvara.
That is, we call it Ishvara. So that Ishvara includes, this is why the first verse, manifest and unmanifest, both. And therefore, and in fact the world is constantly moving from manifest to unmanifest. There is one thing which is non-changing, and that is awareness. So
But you are
Ishvara
right.
is
Huh?
Parinami Upadana.
No, I'm just you can say Avyakta Ishvara and you can say Vyakta Ishvara.
Okay. Yeah. Because in which case,
Unmanifest
in which
and
case,
manifest.
yeah, sure.
actually the intelligence also cannot, the awareness also cannot exist without intelligence in that sense of the word. If it's always going to be, both are going to be like a one into other, like whenever there is awareness and unmanifest, the intelligence still remains.
See, the intelligence remains and awareness also remains.
So it's
The intelligence has the capacity to change and become manifest again. The awareness doesn't
It's
change.
constant, but both are limitless in that sense, right? Intelligence
So
and-
both, yeah. So this is why both precede time, space, and objects.
exactly.
Both.
Yeah.
Both precede. And because that's why Ishvara precedes the creation, right? So the intelligence is in unmanifest form and it becomes manifest. But wherever there is this intelligence, there is also awareness.
But is there, I get it till the very last point, but then I'm stuck because if I say, well, there are no two, it's only one, and with reference to the capacity to manifest, you call it Ishvara. But then you make, for me it sounds like you make a kind of a qualification. With reference to the capacity, you call it Ishvara. So it seems to be, there's also another space, I mean, awareness has the capacity and doesn't have the capacity. I mean, it sounds for me like a qualification of awareness, although they're not two.
See,
And this
one
sounds
good
for me a
way
bit
to
limiting.
see, one good way to understand is look at yourself right now. Right now, you have your body, you have your little intelligence, you have something which is more. There is an intelligence which makes your body what it is, but you also find awareness. I'm showing you awareness. So now you need to give, what is this awareness? Where does that configure in that whole thing? There are three things.
No, but you just sorry, the question, I think I have also got the same issue.
No, you try to look it at an abstract level. I'm bringing it here. Please understand.
Look, you have established that everything is a manifestation from awareness, it's getting manifested. Now, intelligence, is it a manifestation of awareness?
Yeah, so that means the awareness is the final reality.
Sure.
Now it as though has the capacity to manifest the universe. So with reference to that, you
The
call
attribute, can you say that attribute?
it is not an intrinsic attribute.
Okay.
See, for example, you have a capacity to manifest the dream world, but you are not defined by the dream world. And at no point in time you are affected by the dream world.
Once you have given an example from woman and mother.
Yes.
Yes,
This is
yes.
exact what it
This
shows.
is, yes, this is a good example because, when you, a woman, that's a good example. A woman is a woman, yeah? Now, but when the woman gives birth to a child, she acquires one more name. And what is the name? Mother. Are there two entities?
No.
No. But it's a relational name with reference to the manifestation of a child, it is given the name mother. But in terms of entity, how many entities are there? One. And the mother is a relational entity, and you are much more, you are what the mother cannot exist without you, but you are independent of being the mother.
That's why I would say the woman is limitless and the mother is not limitless. That's why I would make these differences because of this dependence, and I wouldn't then say mother is limitless because it's just one aspect of the woman and not, and this relationship
It's
is
not,
there.
see the thing is that
Why I'm
it's
struggling with.
without undergoing any change, it as though becomes. See the thing is, wherever there is this, any manifestation, you will find both, see, if you don't have Ishvara, you can't call Ishvara limited. The minute you call Ishvara, now you reverse the logic, everything will fall apart. Ishvara is limited by what? By time, by space, or by the object.
No.
So therefore, exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore it is not limited, and exactly. So that it precedes time, it precedes space, and it precedes object. It is limitless. So therefore, the knowledge is all knowledge and all power from which time, space and object comes. Now, the truth of Ishvara is what? Awareness. The only difference is intelligence is constantly undergoing change from manifest to unmanifest. It is constantly what producing the universe, all these different forms. Awareness is something which is constant. It never undergoes a change. Because if there was only intelligence, you will only remain what? One small part. You can never be the one who has created time, space and objects. The only reason why equation is possible because Ishvara's truth is awareness, and awareness has never undergone any change and it has totally no attributes. That's the only reason. If in fact Ishvara had all these intrinsic qualities, if it stuck to it, you will only be a small entity. You will not be one with Ishvara. It will be a disaster in terms of and the other way of looking at it, right now you find all three and you need to figure out what is the relationship of what with what. You need to figure it out. You find your intelligence, you find Ishvara's intelligence which makes your intelligence what it is, and you find awareness. Now you tell me what is the relationship.
So awareness is self-evident.
Yes. Awareness is self-evident.
Ishvara is what my body makes work, all intelligence
and
of my
not
body.
exactly. Not only which makes your body work, but which makes the entire
Yes,
thing
yes.
what it is. Yes.
And my intelligence is my little intelligence
Yes.
of my mind.
Excellent. Excellent. Correct. That is true.
Need to
So
absorb,
now we can
need to absorb this.
A little question at the end. Then you were saying
There's still a tiny.
we have to do two shifts.
Yes.
One is to say, let's take the analogy of the ocean. There is only ocean,
Yes.
and the other one is there is only water.
Excellent.
Is there any difference between the shifts?
There is a difference between the shifts. Because when you say there is only ocean, then who are you? You are
Part of
one
it.
way, exactly.
Yes.
You are only a part of the ocean.
Yes.
When you shift to another level of water, then there is only water. There is no distinction.
I understood you then in a wrong way, that you can choose which shift you are doing. You have to do both shifts.
Yes.
Both shifts.
Yes, that was my question.
Only when both shifts are complete, the knowledge is
Yes.
complete.
That was
Otherwise,
okay.
it's a partial knowledge.
Yes, yes.
Because both are realities. You can't ignore. Realities means you can't. You have no choice. It's there, and you have to recognize it. It's not up to you. This is how it is, and your mind has to reach what is.
This is why you said you stay with doing your sadhana and praying to the.
Absolutely, it's
God.
so essential. It is so
To see
essential,
that you are part and
and also both standpoints. One is
Both standpoints, no
both.
problem.
Yes, exactly. When you get both right, then you got the vision.
So it's like water is awareness, ocean
Yes.
is Ishvara,
Yes.
and we are the waves.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. Correct. So that is the relation. Okay. So now we stop.
And offline I'll take some questions.
Sorry.
Offline I will discuss with you on this thing. I still things to do. The same thing I still have a point of view. This intelligence is bothering me a little.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om